Hey guys! Welcome back to architutors. In this Sketchup tutorial, we will look into how to model an apartment building or a group housing in Sketchup. Whether you're an architecture student or a professional, these steps will help you create a stunning 3D model in Sketchup. So let's begin. In Sketchup, we have an AutoCAD drawing imported for this project and we'll create a basic model of apartment following it. You can download the Sketchup practice file with AutoCAD plan imported from the link in the description of this video. In the outliner option, you will see we have AutoCAD drawing and a Sketchup default component in this Sketchup file. In AutoCAD drawing, we have different plans for two identical towers, each having 3 units. To start, first let's create a basic 3D volume by outlining the plan of a single unit and creating a surface. We can use Line tool to do that. If you're keen in watching more of such videos and upcoming tutorials on SketchUp and Lumion, then make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell icon for all the latest updates. Your viewership means awful a lot to us. We can hide the plan to see the geometry we created. In geometry, we can remove extra edges so we can create a clean planar surface. Use Line to create surface. We can unhide objects by going to Edit and click on Unhide. Now that we have a surface, we can extrude it using the Push and Pull tool. Enter a dimension for the height and hit Enter. Select the geometry, right-click and convert this into a component. We convert this into a component because when we make copies of it, the change can be applied to all of its units when we make a change in one unit. Now that we have the basic volume, we can start adding details such as glazing for the windows. First, let's set a lintel level. We can simply use Push and Pull tool and hit Ctrl key to make copy of surface over the volume. Now we can use Move tool, hit the Ctrl key and move the edge to make copy of it and define surface for the glazing. Do it wherever the windows are coming on this unit. Although we can make a frame for all windows, extrude it and add more details, but I want to keep it simple for this project as I want to take conceptual views only. Add glass texture over these glazing surfaces. Now that we have the volume with all windows defined, we can make multiple copies of this unit. To make multiple copies of a component in SketchUp, use Move tool, hit Ctrl key to make copy, define the distance. Then add number value of the copies you want to make with a star. In this case, we make 25 copies for this tower in SketchUp. We can edit the color of the windows. And select all these units and make it a group also. Use the same method to make rest of the units in this tower by first making a surface and extruding it to create volume in SketchUp. Later adding windows onto the unit. Now that we have created all 3 units in this tower, we can make it a group. Second tower is identical to this tower, so we can make a copy of it and flip it along axes. This is how we can create basic geometry for the towers in Sketchup. Next we'll be adding some details onto it. Let's start by adding balconies on all these units in Sketchup. In the component of this unit, select all the geometry and make it a group. Now we can start by creating the slab underneath for the balcony first by using rectangular surface. We can use push and pull tool to extrude these surfaces to create slab. Erase the extra edges and extrude the surface. To draw railing, we can simply offset the lines on the surface. Use the line tool to create height reference for the railing. And then use rectangle tool to create glass railing. We can also create a handrail over it if we want. It'll start to look more complete when we have added the balconies. Let's add balconies to rest of the units of this tower. Now that we have added all balconies to all the units of this project in SketchUp, we can turn on shadows and see how it looks. Next, we can add the stilt floor. For that I just want to show a complete volume. So let's hide the plan. And then go to the unit component. We can copy the planar surface and paste it outside the unit component. Align the surface and use push and pull tool to extrude the surface. Let's add a gray texture to it. Let's do the same for all of the units. We can also add parapet on the upper units. For that, select the top component in one unit and right-click and click on Make Unique, so any changes on that wouldn't affect the rest of the components. Do this for all units. Next we'll be adding the core unit in the center, that is basically staircase and lifts. First let's hide all the other geometry except for the plans. Now draw surface using rectangle to the core unit. Use push and pull tool to extrude the surface to create volume. Convert it into a group. We can also add the geometry for the corridor or passages so the model looks a little more detailed. Create multiple copies of this core unit, same as the towers. In top unit, we can copy the geometry of the passages to the terrace level. We're almost done with the modeling for the apartments in SketchUp, and we can turn on the shadows to see how it all looks. We can add the surroundings and create a basic environment around it to make it look complete in SketchUp. Geometry like roads, building on the surrounding, and trees in SketchUp really help to enhance the looks of a model. We can set interesting views for this in SketchUp or take it to a rendering engine to do some basic renders. I hope you have learned some new techniques through our SketchUp modeling tutorial. You can check out more such tutorials from our SketchUp tutorial playlist. Make sure you subscribe to our channel for more upcoming videos on modeling and rendering. Thanks for watching. See you next time.